Greetings. This is Jerome Singleton, Commissioner of the South Carolina High School League. Let me begin by first thanking you for taking the time to view this tutorial titled Preparing for a School Athletics Department Audit. Each school's athletic department will be audited twice during the school year, once in the fall and again in the spring. The compliance team has been authorized by the league to visit our member schools to conduct these audits. This team will consist of retired administrators and athletics directors. In an effort to assist you with preparing for this audit, this online tutorial has been created to give you an idea of what to expect. When a member of the compliance team enters your school, the first thing he will ask for are copies of the online eligibility forms that were submitted to the league. This will include all sports at your school that are currently in season. On the screen is an example of what the forms should look like. The compliance team member will randomly select several names of student athletes from the eligibility form and request that individual folders be presented for the audit. On the screen is an example of names that have been randomly selected and highlighted to be audited. You are to present an individual folder for each requested student athlete that will include all necessary paperwork to determine his or her eligibility. One of the items that must be included in the folder is a copy of the student athlete's birth certificate. On the screen are examples of the types of birth certificates that are acceptable. To be eligible, the student athlete's birth date must not be prior to the date shown on the screen. If a foreign birth certificate is provided, it must be accompanied by a completed foreign birth certificate verification form. An example of this form is shown on the screen. Each folder must also include a copy of the student athlete's history of courses and grades or transcript. This information should clearly signify the date the student athlete first entered the 9th grade. If the information includes the student athlete's most recent grades, no report card is necessary. To be eligible for the first semester, the student must meet the academic standards shown on the screen. If the student athlete's most recent grades are not included on the transcript, a copy of the report card with the most recent grades are to be included in the folder. Those student athletes that are on non-diploma tracks with IEPs are not required to have transcripts or report cards in their folders. All that is required is written verification from the school principal that the student is non-diploma and is meeting or has met his or her IEP for eligibility. It is also suggested that the folder include the date the student first entered the 9th grade. A pre-participation history form and parent permission form must be included in the student athlete's folder. These forms must be signed and dated by the parent and the student athlete. Two types of forms will be acceptable. Examples of the two types of forms are shown on the screen. You will only need to use one. The forms must not be signed prior to the date shown on the screen. It is important that each folder include a copy of the student athlete's physical examination form. The form must be completed by the appropriate healthcare professional. The physical examination must not take place prior to the date shown on the screen. If you are fortunate enough to have homeschooled students participating in your athletic programs, please note that in addition to the items that are required to be included in all student athletes' folders, 2 additional items must be in the homeschooled student athlete folder. One is proof of residency in your school's attendance area. Whatever your school requires for proof of residency for other students attending your school will suffice. On the screen is an example of a power bill. The other required item is written verification that the homeschooled student athlete has completed at least 1 year as a homeschool student prior to participating as a member of your school's team. The 1 school year as a homeschooler may be met anytime prior to the student athlete joining the team. Charter school students not attending your school but are participating as student athletes at your school are required to have written proof of residency in your school's attendance area, in addition to all other items required in the student athletes folder. Again, on the screen is an example of proof of residency. If the student athlete is a transfer student, a copy of the submitted transfer form must be included in the student athletes folder. If the folder audited is that of a transfer student, the compliance team member will check on the league's website to verify that a transfer form has been submitted to the league office prior to submission on the certificate of eligibility. The verification might not occur until after the audit has been completed. If there's an issue, the compliance team member will contact the school. If the student athlete is a foreign exchange student, a completed request for eligibility or foreign exchange student form must be included in his or her folder. Audited foreign exchange student athletes will be verified on the league's website by the compliance team member. Again, this verification might not occur until after the audit. Any issues will be brought to the school's attention by the compliance team member. On the screen is a copy of the audit record sheet that the compliance team member will use in the event that a possible violation has been discovered during the audit. The compliance team member will record any discrepancies and provide you a copy of what has been recorded. If no possible violations are discovered, that form will not be used. This screen shows a copy of Notice of Possible Violations. In the event a possible violation has been discovered and recorded on the audit record sheet, you will be asked to sign the Notice of Possible Violations. Please note the statement on the form. This last screen suggests some tips for success as you prepare for the audit. It is the League's hope that you will find this online tutorial helpful. Thanks for all you do, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the League office.